Your business needs help. 56.1 million employees are employed by small businesses in the United States, and 99% of all U.S. establishments are small businesses under 250 employees. That means that your business should be listening to the only podcast dedicated to small business success. That's Growth Success Radio, growthsuccessradio.com. Welcome to this week's episode of Growth Success Radio. So welcome to Growth Success Radio, episode number 29. Yes, we did go backwards again this week because of a scheduling snafu 2 weeks ago. This is Growth Success Radio. I am your co-host, Scott Gombar. Below me is my the other co-host, Eugene Resnitsky of Traeger Insurance. And of course, the show is sponsored by Scott Gombar Digital Marketing Agency and Traeger Insurance. Both in Meriden, Connecticut, and with us today is Joe Fournier of Fournier Legal Services. And you may remember Joe from I don't know, it's been about 6 months maybe, episode 4. And we are live every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. We're moving to Huza. And Blab was having some major issues and talks of possibly not doing these types of things anymore. So we decided to move on before the ship sank. And if you want to listen to or watch past shows, you can go to growthsuccessradio.com. We don't have any T-shirts at the moment, but we'll have T-shirts again soon because Eugene, we need a model. Eugene, you want to model them for us?
Sure, of course.
You can also listen to past shows on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and a few other places. I'm going to probably add it to SoundCloud at some point. Haven't gotten there yet. Eugene, tell us about Traeger Insurance, or do you want to have Josh? Josh is in. Oh, and Eugene is broadcasting live from the Salad Palace. We will have Travis on with us next week. He's the owner of Salad Palace, so we'll get to that later. But tell us about Traeger Insurance.
We are an independent insurance agency based out of Meriden, Connecticut. So what that means is we can find any market for any client. We're not owned by any insurance company, so we can pretty much find a solution for any client.
And I saw that one of your agents has been saving a lot of Geico people a lot of money in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Geico
is to Facebook every time she saves somebody some money.
Yeah, it's because Geico's notorious for raising their rates every 6 months.
That's awesome. I never understood why they do that when everybody else lowers them after 6 months if you have a good driving record. As I mentioned, I am the owner of Scott Gombar Digital Marketing Agency and also just Scott Gombar. And what I do is I help drive qualified traffic to your web presence so that you can also grow your business using all things internet. So if your refrigerator has internet connectivity, I could probably help you drive traffic using the refrigerator. And again, with us today is Joe Fournier. Our topic today is going to be the 4 reasons why you need a board of advisors as a business owner. But before we get started on that, Eugene, what's exciting in the insurance world?
Insurance is very exciting, always, every day.
Every day. It's hurricane season. Anything about any hurricane updates for us?
Hopefully not. Hurricanes usually end up being bad for insurance and insurance rates in the future. So hopefully we don't have hurricanes. But no real significant upgrades or just public service announcement to people, especially if the ones that own a business. Check if your policy has something called business income. If it doesn't, you might want to ask your agent why and get that coverage immediately. What that essentially is disability coverage for your business. So your business becomes disabled due to a covered loss. the insurance company will pretty much pay for your expenses, including payroll. So if you don't have that, you might want to check out why and get it put on immediately.
It's almost as though he's talking to me. I don't know. For me, nothing extremely exciting this week for social media or digital marketing in general. However, supposedly Instagram is going to allow you to include links in posts now, which is interesting because in the past, if you had a big long link, you had to manually type it. You couldn't copy it. You couldn't click on it. You couldn't do anything. So now they're going to be adding. I tested it yesterday, and it still didn't work. And Snapchat is adding commercials in between when you go from one Snap user to another. So now you'll see commercials in between looking at people's Snapchats. So if I'm looking at Eugene and then I go to Joe, in between the two, there'll be a commercial, potentially, not all the time, but potentially. And they are making a killing on ads. So
what about the Microsoft LinkedIn purchase? That's probably the biggest
that
news.
is big news, but I figured everybody knew that already. $26 billion. So now you can get Microsoft Office inside LinkedIn. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know about that. But don't be surprised if they somehow incorporate Microsoft Office into LinkedIn. I think I did see something about that already. So
I think it was Joe that brokered that deal, right, Joe?
Yeah, we're going to finalize that soon.
Joe was the attorney that put everything together.
Yep.
Yes, and if anybody does have a question, this is a new platform for us, but there is a Q&A section. So if anybody does want to ask a question, feel free. And there's also a selfie section. You can take a selfie, apparently. And then there is an option to tip if you want to give Eugene a tip so he can shave. $1, $3, $5, it all helps, right, Eugene?
Yeah, or for you, if you want to purchase some Rogaine.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I do need some, thank you. Or at least some of that spray. At least some of that spray, right?
Shiny.
All right. So we have Joe Fournier of Fournier Legal Services with us today. Joe, tell us about you and tell us about Fournier Legal Services.
Sure. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Eugene. I appreciate being here again. I'm an attorney. I'm an attorney and a CPA with Fournier Legal Services. We are based in the New Haven, Connecticut area. We also have offices in Hartford and in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And we focus on business and estate planning. We provide a wide variety of business law services, starting with corporate formation all the way through mergers and acquisitions. That also includes things like new contracts, employment law. We also provide a wide range. Oh, it also includes some commercial litigation also. And we provide a wide range of estate planning services also. That includes things such as wills and trusts, some tax planning, and also probate.
Awesome. There's a lot of stuff you do there.
I did not broker the LinkedIn transaction. Very disappointing, just missed out on that.
I'd imagine if you did, you probably wouldn't be with us today.
You never know.
You might be a little busy right now.
You guys are kind of funny.
We are, a little bit. Right, Eugene?
All right. What?
Right?
Right. Always. Everything you say is true, Scott. So, Joe,
Yep.
we noticed that you blog fairly consistently. Can you tell us why?
Sure. We try to, it can be challenging at times, but we try to stay on a consistent marketing schedule that encompasses a few different areas. Obviously, we try to maintain an online presence, and we have a monthly newsletter, and we periodically will work across social media. But the idea of the blogging really is to have a consistent top-of-mind awareness on issues that are relevant to the industry that we work in. So, and it can be any topic. We will write on topics both in the business law vertical and in the estate planning vertical. And it's fun, right? It's fun because the issues are current. It's fun because we like those areas of the law. And there's, in our opinion, a benefit to the business of keeping that top-of-mind awareness with our customers, past clients, and also obviously future potential clients.
So I just want to take a moment. I don't know if Eugene realized this or not, but so we have last week's guest in the room with Eugene, next week's guest in the room with Eugene, and of course you're with us today, Joe.
Nice.
It's like a small world.
It is.
Small world, because Joe's chiming in from Honolulu, and no, I'm just kidding.
I feel like we're all in one place together.
That's right, we are. It's one big happy family, kumbaya. So, Joe, your most recent blog post talks. Well, actually, I don't think it's the most recent anymore. I think you had another one since then, but it was the most recent at the time. 4 reasons you should have a board of advisors. So,
Sure.
tell us what a board of advisors is for the layperson.
Sure. Well, when we talk in terms of a board of advisors, it can take on a couple of different forms. It doesn't have to be necessarily a formal board in the traditional sense, although it can be. It can also be informal in the sense that it could just be friends or confidants that you reach out to, or other business or personal networks of which you're a part. But generally, whether it's a formal board or an informal network, we view it as basically people who you surround yourself with that can help you with your difficult personal and professional challenges.
And they say that you become the 5 people you hang around with the most. So I guess there's something to that, right?
I guess. And hopefully that can change and evolve throughout your life.
Right, exactly. So you're not, obviously I don't hang around with some of the troublemakers I hung around with in high school,
Right.
but
And obviously you still do hang out with some of them.
some
Yes.
of them, yes.
Online.
That's right.
Well, we hang out with 40 troublemakers every Wednesday.
I mean, I feel like when I talk about advisors too in my life, it's funny, right? We have our friends and we have our family members, we have our business partners, and within that, and that network thankfully continues to expand as we grow personally and professionally. But the sphere of people who will actually give you good, candid feedback is a subset of that, right? It's not necessarily inclusive. So when I talk about a board of advisors, a lot of what I think of when I'm writing or speaking with people is included in that group the people who will give me the candid feedback that I need, not people who are just going to agree with me and just be my friend at all times.
Yep, I agree with that.
Yeah, a board of advisors can't be your strictly friends, because they're not going to be honest with you at all times.
Well, not even friends. It also can't be people that always agree with you.
Right.
Because then,
and along those same lines, Eugene, I like the idea of surrounding yourself with people who have complementary skill sets. So
sure.
That's important, right? Because when you first meet someone that's very different than you, it may not automatically register, oh, this is the kind of person that I want on my board of advisors, or that I want to run all my issues by, because you may not immediately connect with someone like that. But over time, you realize, well, actually, this is a good person because they have a complementary skill set. They come from a different perspective. They see things a different way. I may not take all of their advice, but I certainly am probably better off if I listen to their advice and consider it before making my decisions.
I agree. All right. So, Joe, one of the reasons you say people should have a board of advisors for fresh ideas. So why can't just somebody just always have fresh ideas and just use their ideas all the time?
Well, certainly you can have your own fresh ideas in addition to the ideas you receive from other people. But certainly people who have different experiences, they may work in different industries than you. They may work in a different geography than you. They may have tried and failed They may have tried and succeeded. The very things that you're talking about, right? So, again, it's that perspective, right? So someone has totally different exposures than you've had. Their ideas are going to be fresh and different and new than your own, oftentimes.
That's awesome. You said something there about tried and failed, and I think we learn maybe even more so from failures than we do from successes. So I think it is important to acknowledge that you failed at something, because not only will you learn at it, but you could teach someone else how not to do that same thing.
Sure. I live that daily with my with my children. They don't necessarily listen or have it sink in, but that's certainly a message you try to deliver to your family members too, not just your professional family.
It seems like Eugene's having some technical issues there. So let me see. If
I thought he was
can
just
find him.
frozen.
No, he's still chatting. He asked, "Are you guys still on?" And he's got a stream error. I'm not sure what that means. So luckily, the next question is mine. So you also list candid feedback, but I personally have talked to business owners who are not willing to hear that feedback. They just want somebody to tell them yes, yes, yes. They want yes men, basically. And I've worked with people like this, and I know business owners like this. So do you find this to be true at all? And if so, how do you get business owners to overcome that?
Yeah, well, I think it's funny, of all the reasons to have a board of advisors, this one's probably the most important, yet the least understood, for the very reason, Scott, that you just mentioned, right? So people, especially people who are highly successful, they may be leaders by nature, or they may have grown into a role at a company where they're the leader. They feel oftentimes that their decisions are the right decisions. And it's really important. And yes, that is true. And I've seen the same thing. And it is very important to have someone oftentimes outside of the organization. Come back. Oh, my goodness. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. So, no connection error.
So you just interrupted Joe's train of thought there.
I'm sorry, Joe. I apologize.
Okay, no, I'm good. I think a lot of times, Scott, if you really want someone to take the objective feedback that's not used to listening to it, it's often helpful to bring someone from outside the organization who may have been successful in something different. A lot of times there'll just be an instant respect there. I've done that a few times. Introduced, you can do things like that on LinkedIn. You can do things over lunch meetings. You introduce someone else to the conversation or to the mix that the person who's being, for lack of a better word, a little stubborn may have an instant respect for. You kind of get around that issue. That's one way to get around that issue. Another way, of course, to get around that issue is just to earn the respect yourself. If you have candid feedback for someone and, they may not like it at first, but you can earn that respect by being successful on the tasks that you're given.
Yeah, that's good advice, because there are some very stubborn business owners out there for sure. I noticed one guy, Eugene.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's not willing to listen.
I heard about him.
Yes. Something in the air in Meriden, probably.
No. I heard he takes no advice.
All right, Eugene,
No
you're
advice. Huh?
Can you hear me?
All right.
All right.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
we can hear
Yes.
you. I don't think he can hear
All right.
us. Or he's getting.
I can hear you. I can hear you. I just can't see you anymore.
That's good.
You don't want to see us.
So
How'd you get so lucky?
internet connection. All right. So the third reason to have a board of advisors is to increase your network. But what if I don't want a bigger network?
Well, that's a personal choice, right? So there are certainly, I'm a little biased to having a bigger network. I feel as though a closed off network sometimes will stifle potential growth. But if you feel like you don't have the time or the inclination to have a bigger network, it's still important, I think, to ensure that you're tapping into the various experiences of the people that are in your current network, right? So understanding that the discourse on important topics should be had both ways. It's a two-way street. To have conversations. If you're talking about business, for example, and you're talking about expansion or hiring new employees and things like that, I think it's important that you have an open mind. If you're not willing to open up your network, it's important that you have an open mind in hearing the perspectives of the people who are around. If, of course, you're willing to expand your network, there are other benefits to that also, because you may be bringing people in who are from different industries or from the different geographies, and as we mentioned earlier, who may have tried and either failed or succeeded in some of the very things you're talking about.
That makes sense.
I think I still think we learn more from our failures. We remember our failures more, I think, than our successes.
Mm-hmm.
But so I am in a board of advisors, and both of you know who runs those boards. But and I find that it is beneficial. However, I have been known to be a stubborn person. I know this might shock you guys a little bit. So occasionally there's a piece of advice, and I'm just like, no, that's not going to work. And then it gets a little testy for a minute. So it's interesting. But yeah, so we're asking these questions, the 4 reasons you need a board, and we're challenging it. Well, what if the person doesn't like that idea or doesn't want to listen to somebody else? Or so, and I, as I'm thinking about it, I do that sometimes, not all the time. Most of the time I listen, I take notes, and I go ahead and do whatever it is they suggest I do. Sometimes I'll even do it and say, see, I told you so, and if it didn't work. But I think overall, the board of advisors, I've been on this board now for 15, 16 months now, and it has helped me quite a bit. I'm refocusing and making sure I'm doing things right and so forth. So I think it's important to challenge the reasons why people don't want to or may not want to be part of a board.
I agree. And sometimes it's tough for people to take advice. Everybody loves giving advice. So to be able to have a board, you have to take a step back a little bit and humble yourself and be willing to accept that critical advice. It's a trait that you have to learn.
Is that Joe Jr.?
Yeah, that's Bruno.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Bruno's there too?
Yep.
Are you guys having a party at the Salad Palace?
Yes, we are.
There's no cake though.
No cake. Just wheatgrass smoothies.
Did you have one?
Not yet. That's after the show.
Just to add to that point too, Eugene, in all fairness to business owners who, these topics that I'm writing anyway are directed to business owners who are very successful or very confident on their way to being successful. And in all fairness to them, there's a great deference that should be given sometimes to their gut instinct decisions, right? Not everything has to be a formal board or formally thought out. And I'm saying that in line with, suppose somebody doesn't want to expand the network. Well, maybe because that person's gut instincts and initial reaction to things throughout their lifetime have been the right reaction for them, right? So they don't really need the input. And that's fine too, right? Everyone's different and everyone has a different way of going about things. And I think that even if you were to have a board of advisors, that doesn't mean that you have to follow all of the candid advice that you get. It just, for me, it's about listening to it and then considering it before making a final decision, which at the end of the day could just be the gut reaction you had at the outset.
Yeah, I don't take all the advice I get. And sometimes you come to a conclusion. The initial piece of advice is do A, and then after discussion you get to C, and you're like, all right, C will work. I'll do C. And it's because it becomes a brainstorming session a lot of times, or a discussion of how you can work out a specific issue. Yeah. Eugene's distracted.
No, I heard everything. I agree with everything, Joe, and you said about that. But back to my
We're on
point.
location for you, Eugene.
So it's always a good idea to hear other people out, and whether you take their advice or not, ultimately it's up to you. I think if you always took other people's advice, you wouldn't be a business owner. You would just be more of an employee.
And that's a good point, because let's face it, there's a sense of security in being an employee. You have that same check every week or 2 weeks or whatever it is, and you don't have that when you go out on your own. I haven't gotten paid in like 4 months now. I don't know why I haven't lost weight yet, but
You might want to hire Miguel.
actually he just hired me. But so your final reason for being part of a board of advisors is to have a mentor or have mentors, more than one mentor. And even that, I mean, I have a mentor for different areas. I have different mentors for different areas of my business, I think. So I have a mentor for what my business is, digital marketing. I have someone that I go to that's been doing it for longer than me and has larger clients and so forth. I have a mentor for certain business aspects of my business that maybe I'm not too sharp on. So maybe you have more than one mentor. But so what do you how would you suggest someone get a mentor or become a mentor?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't think that as far as finding a mentor, to me, finding a mentor is similar to finding a friend. You don't go pick out a mentor and say you're going to be my mentor. Mentorship, in my opinion, evolves from a series of experiences that you have with someone else. And that doesn't mean it has to evolve over a long period of time, although it typically would. But it's for whatever reason, someone that you respect and are open-minded about listening to advice from them, and that you think you'd be better off because of your relationship with them. And again, like we said in the past with some of the other things we've talked about in the last few minutes, it could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be professional, it could be someone you don't know that well. But for whatever reason, you look to them and say, oh, I like that aspect of how they do business, or I like that aspect of their personality, or how they dealt with that problem or challenging situation. And as far as being a mentor, that comes with immense responsibility. Even if you don't choose to be a mentor, someone may look to you as one, right? So you have to, you have to give guidance without being condescending, without telling people how to do things, because they have their own minds and their own vision of success. But there's a lot you can do to share some of the experiences. As you said a couple times, Scott, your successes and failures, you learn a lot from those failures. And if you can share those with someone else who's in your industry, maybe newer than you, maybe younger than you, it's invaluable to be able to provide that kind of mentorship to someone else. It's quite rewarding.
I agree.
And,
That's why I coach T-ball, because I'm an expert at T-ball.
because there's something you tried and failed at?
Yes.
Multiple times.
Yes.
You just got to hit that circle thing that's on top of the T.
I have a hard time with it. I don't know.
I was just going to add one point, Eugene. Sometimes too, it depends on the situation, right? But being at the top, running a company by yourself, it can be lonely. It can breed insecurity, right? So it's nice to have someone that's been through that. Someone who's been there, done that. It's like a roller coaster ride, right? So there are some weeks, months, days that are great. Some that aren't as good. So it's nice to be able to, tap into someone's experience who's been through the same kind of roller coaster ride.
It's funny you said that about being lonely, because I just mentioned that to someone yesterday, that, running a business, you're sometimes very lonely. Yeah. Just mentioned that yesterday to someone. It's awesome.
I mean, even if you have thousands of employees, you're the boss. You're the boss. There's only one of those. So it still can be very lonely.
El Jefe.
That's right, El Jefe.
You're running a cartel, yes. Is that what you're doing, Scott?
Shh.
Sorry.
Hey, did you, not to change subjects, did you hear about what happened in the mall last night?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a little
Which
scary.
mall? Meriden Mall?
Meriden Mall, they initially were like a bunch of calls about an active shooter. It turned out what it was a transformer that blew.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I will say the police responded very quickly. They were there in minutes. Yeah. But anyway.
All right. So Joe, to expand on Scott's question about how to find a mentor, so how would somebody go about not just finding a mentor, but an entire board? What should that person look for?
Well, I think that they can look to their current relationships, their current networking groups, if they're in any industry groups. They can look to friends, family. It's funny, when I first posted this, I had a friend of mine who's also a business acquaintance who I respect tremendously. He actually took the affirmative step of going out. This article resonated with him. He took the affirmative step of going out and creating a board. It was interesting. And he actually handpicked 4 or 5 people to start his board that's already gotten bigger. That isn't necessarily what I had in mind when I wrote this. I think what I had in mind was more something that kind of forms organically over time, and it's just more informal. So really, I think either way, you can go about it, either kind of informally, organically, or you can actually formally go out and create one.
So Eugene, get on that. Josh can't be in your board of advisors.
No.
No.
Well, that's a good point, Scott, right? Because one of the questions you would have, if you were Eugene to go create a board, you may already have one, but if you go create a board of advisors, one of the main decisions you would have to make, and it'd be a big decision, right? Do I want my business partner on that board, right? Because you already have interaction with him. You already kind of know each other's strengths and weaknesses. You're in the same industry, obviously. So it's kind of interesting. Maybe he's not, but maybe that's something he doesn't have to be a part of, right? You can kind of look at it either way. You can also have multiple boards, of course, for different reasons.
No.
Yeah, I think boards are kind of like girlfriends. They can only handle one at a time.
So just a follow-up question. So somebody is looking for a board. Would they look for, as you mentioned before, people that would complement your skill set, or have help you out with one of your weaknesses?
Yeah, I would. I would look for a combination of both. I would look for a combination of people who, obviously, I would want people that understood my perspective, but that were complementary skill sets. But probably also a couple people who were closer to me in skill set. They knew exactly what I was going through also. And that's the recipe. You put that together and you have a really good mix.
So on my board, which has, I think, 7 or 8 members now, everybody's business, nobody's the same business, but everybody's business has some, I don't know if you want to call it overlap or similarities or continuity. So for example, there's a videographer in my board. There's a software developer on my board. So we have there's a lot in common on the board.
Right.
We also, and there's different degrees of business experience and so forth. So like there's guys on my board that have been in business for decades. And so that helps me because I can talk to them. I haven't been in business for decades. So it helps. And then sometimes we agree and sometimes we don't agree. So I think it's important to have a board of advisors that there is some similarity, something that you guys can agree on, but at the same time, not everything is the same. So different levels of experience, different levels, they've been in business, they've been running businesses for decades, but at the same time, somebody younger has all this energy and has been reading all the time. And they're like, all right, I've got these bright ideas. So I think you have to have a mixture, I think is what I'm getting to.
You mentioned earlier, Scott, I know you mentioned earlier about having a mentor. Did you have a mentor on that board, or is that separate from the board?
No, I don't have a mentor on the board, but there are people that I go to on that board for advice on different things.
Sure.
but I wouldn't call them mentors necessarily. I think mentors. So I check in with the board twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
Mentors, I
Formal
think you
meetings?
talk to more often than that.
Are they formal meetings? Twice a month?
One is one is halfway through the month we have a check-in call and just see how we're, because every month we get goals,
Oh.
and so halfway through the month we check in to see how we're doing on those goals, and then at the end of the month we review our goals and see how we did. And that
Cool.
the end of the month is the formal meeting.
Cool.
Most of ours are done over the internet. We use Zoom. But occasionally we do face-to-face. I think we are actually doing face-to-face next month in New Haven.
Interesting.
So, Joe, you're not unfamiliar with this. We have our rapid fire round now,
Oh, geez.
and I think you're actually going to like this one because we've I know your love for certain things. So we'll see how you do though. We'll see how your choices work out.
All right.
You ready, Eugene?
Yep, Joe, you
Fire
ready?
away.
I'm ready. First question. Mike Trout or Brett?
I am obviously respectful of both, but I am a huge Mike Trout fan.
I need a bell right now.
Anyone
Where's
else?
Marnie's bell? Ding, 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 ding. Good answer.
Straight
All right.
5-tool, man. Classic 5-tool player.
That'll never be a Yankee, and it pisses me off. But anyway, Kershaw or Strasburg?
Kershaw.
Oh, we're 2 for 2, Joe. 2
I
for
used,
2.
I used to live in the Dallas area, and my first year in Dallas, he was a senior in high school. It's quite remarkable to see what he's become.
Guy's unbelievable. Most pitchers, a couple years dominant, and then they stop. This kid has been dominant since he came up, and he's having a great year.
He's actually gotten better over the years, which is crazy. Every year he's getting better and better.
You know, the year before, I believe it was the year before he graduated, Matthew Stafford, the Detroit Lions quarterback, was the quarterback on that same high school football team.
Interesting.
Pretty decent athletes.
When you hear that, you're like, I need to send my kids there.
Yeah.
Texas and Florida are breeding ground for athletes.
Well, Texas is a huge football state. Well, so is Florida.
CPA or
Love them both, but attorney for me. I love it
Okay.
more.
This one might be the hardest question of all, Joe. You ready? Got a little sweat on his forehead there, Eugene. You see that? Favorite outdoor summer activity?
Do I have to pick one, or can I have a tie?
Is it a two-way tie?
Yeah.
All right.
I like coaching my kids' baseball teams and playing golf. As soon as baseball ends, playing golf.
They're similar, aren't they? You swing at a ball.
Yeah.
A small ball. That's hard to see once you hit it.
So if you hit it far enough.
Yeah, Eugene just played golf. He got poison ivy. I won't say why.
Well, in the middle of the fairway, stuff grows everywhere.
yeah.
His wasn't in the middle of the fairway.
All the fairway. The bushes, yeah.
Listen, if I played, believe me, you and I would still be on the golf course, Eugene. All right, Joe. Thank you for coming on again. We love having you on because you're always so full of advice and knowledge, and obviously you doing what you do. You have to have a good sense of business. So we appreciate you coming on. How can people find you if they need to get a hold of you?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure coming on. And I think, Scott, this is our third meeting this week, so it's been a fun week.
That's true. It is. I've seen enough of you, Joe.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Best way to reach us, our direct dial to the law firm is 860-670-3535. Of course, you can email us at any time at info@jeflegal.com and on the web at jeflegal.com.
Awesome. Next week we will have Travis Pittman, who's in the background there somewhere, of the Salad Palace. He had a soft opening today. We're going to talk about his opening of the Salad Palace and his challenges, and he's had a few setbacks. So we're going to talk about those things as well as what's going to happen going forward. That'll be next week, 11 a.m. right here on Huza. I sounded like Al Pacino just now, didn't I? Huza. Thanks, you too. It's supposed to be a beautiful weekend too, so get out there and enjoy it. Eugene, parting thoughts. I don't think you can hear me again.
Have a Father's Day, and everybody stay safe.
Stay safe because we don't want your insurance rates to go up. That's right. Thanks, guys. I'm going to stop here. How do I stop? I don't even know how to stop here.